My name is Damaris.
And I'm Joe. We've been married for 13 years, been together for 15. We have 3 beautiful children, 18, 16, and 3. We've been proud members of Faith for several years now, and we lead Thrive Marriage Group as well, and it's such an honor to do those types of things. But our marriage hasn't always been where it is now.
Yeah, for sure. So when I met this handsome fella beside me, I was a single mother of 2 small children. I was living at my stepmother's house out of 2 trash bags because I left my first relationship with just our belongings. I was working day and night to provide for the children. At Red Lobster, and this is where I met Joe, and I know you guys might not know this, but they used to call him Surfer Joe, so I was really curious about meeting this Surfer Joe. He had the long hair and really was everything that everybody said he was. So we eventually started talking and dating, so we became really close, and little did I know that he was interested in me. About 1.5 years into our relationship was when I met Christ through his family. I think I was about 25. And so that was like the best moment of my life. You know, I thought things were good, and I thought things would be perfect.
At 23, I was still, very selfish, and even through my 20s was still, really struggling to, do what I was supposed to be doing in the home. And so a lot of that led to these friendships that really were tearing apart our marriage. And then just activities that I were doing outside of the home just wasn't really conducive of building a great relationship with my wife and then also with our children.
Yeah, we married in 2007, and I'm not gonna lie, the first few years, not just the first year, but the first few years were really rocky. We, like Joe mentioned, we didn't have any family in town. I knew no one because we were in his town. No positive relationships, no church, no God, although we were, kind of walking the walk a little bit. We had different work schedules, we barely saw each other, we didn't spend any time together or anything that was quality or beneficial for our marriage. I met this man, and I started confiding in this man and talking about my relationship with Joe, and that turned into more than just a friendship. Unfortunately, something that I just remember feeling really ashamed and really broken, and like, how could I let that happen?
Yeah, and so, we didn't have a lot of great relationships investing into our marriage and into our spiritual growth as well. So that was obviously a very devastating moment in our family. And so what did we think to do? We said, well, let's move. We relocated about 600 miles away, but yet we still didn't really deal collectively with all of the things that were going on underneath the surface. And I'm speaking specifically about myself because when we moved back to South Carolina, we spent 3 years in Ohio, and then we moved back to South Carolina, and I was really still struggling with drug and alcohol. And so with that type of struggle, if you've ever struggled with any type of addiction, it literally eats at your mind, your body, your spiritual growth, because you have so many things that are trying to steal your attention. And literally, I left home. And Damaris talked about, that's what she saw, and that's also what I saw growing up. Unfortunately, my parents divorced when I was younger. I thought by separating, it would just fix it all. But I'm at this point now where something had to change, and that change had to start right then.
There were hard moments, but then there were also those moments that I really came to know God as my Father, and as all the things that we sing about, whether that's, the comforter and the healer and the provider and my strength. And I really just grew really deep in my relationship. I did not want my marriage to end. I knew that. And I knew that Joe was so blinded by his addictions that he couldn't see it at the time. But I do know that God was for our marriage, and I didn't want it to end there. And so I fought in prayer and just waited to do the things that God told me to do, but also let God do what he needed to do, because I know that when he's not in the mix, then nothing will work. No matter how bad I want something, it's something that God has to do.
To be able to sit here today, clear conscience, clear mind, and give God all the glory and honor about being sober, which is an amazing thing to know, because what he was trying to do, I wouldn't allow it. And I think about all the things that God wants to do in our lives, and that's the beautiful part, that when we truly give it back, then our marriage can be restored, our future can be restored, and honestly, it's such a beautiful place to be, because this life is the life that he always tells us that we can and that he wants, that we can live and that he wants for us. So it's pretty incredible.